And welcome back to the BigRedWired Nebraska Baseball Show. I'm your host, Bobby Schneider, joined by Mr. Kyler Cox and Mr. Sam Ojeda. How are you two doing on this Monday afternoon?
I'm doing well. Yeah, doing well. Great weekend. Just a sports all around. Phenomenal finish to the Masters yesterday. I'm happy to be back.
Bobby, I'm doing well. A lot going on in life, but the 10U baseball team almost won their first game last weekend. We're 0-5. We have 5 kids who have never played organized baseball, and we've gotten within 2 runs in almost all of our games. So apparently everything I touch turns to gold. But, hey, we're doing our best out here, but life's good.
You know what they say about close losses? That's on the coaching staff.
It is on the coaching staff. Just, I couldn't decide which 10-year-old to put in the game. It just, which one was going to throw strikes, right? No, life's good. And I got to golf last weekend for the first time in 3 weeks. So that was really awesome. I'm golfing again later this week. And the Masters, right? The Masters, Rory McIlroy goes back to back. I personally am a Cam Young fan. I've always been a Cam Young fan before he even won in Greensboro last year. So to see him play well in a major after winning the Players was awesome.
Well, Bush Apple is returning, I believe, April 20th. So that's exciting for myself. Unfortunately, the Rockies got to 500, but got swept by the Padres in 4
straight. You're going to need a lot of Bush Apple to watch the Rockies this season.
There's going to be a lot of Bush Apple consumed on, just regular Tuesday nights watching the Rockies blow a game. So it is what it is. Anyway, if you guys haven't already, be sure to follow us on Twitter at bschneider33, at DugoutCox, and at SamOjeda8. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel as well. Share it to your girlfriend. Share it to your buddy. Let's get some more subscribers here in the chat. Guys, so Nebraska baseball this weekend, 1-1 at Oregon. You were kind of expecting probably a 1-2 series going into it.
Either way.
The midweek to Kansas, sure, whatever. You were bound to lose a game at home at some point. It was really chippy. And then you had a chippy series at Oregon. Nebraska was in it all of the games, though.
Yeah, I'm convinced Oregon's got one of the best pitching staffs in the country. I know they kind of Nebraska, with how good their offense has been this season, how consistent they got to the arms as expected, but they've got a really talented staff. Their bullpen very much impressed. Their closer Bell, David Bell, I think it was, very impressive. But overall, you kind of like what you had. It was Mac Moyer's return to Oregon. Actually, going into it wasn't until Monday of last week that I actually knew that Mac Moyer was on the Oregon roster for 4 months before they cut him because he didn't have a power tool. That was kind of the reason that was cited on Huskers radio network by Ben McLaughlin. But then first at bat, home run. So I thought it was very fortuitous. And it was really great to see him play well. And Nebraska really hanging in that game. I think Oregon's a team that despite, where they're ranking in RPI sit them, they're definitely in super regional territory.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it. Kind of the expectation. It does hurt a little more when all the losses come in the same week, right? We can talk about the Kansas game a little bit later if you want to. But the pitching, right? Like, you're going to see a good pitching staff next weekend too. So you do like the fight that the offense showed. A 3 spot on Sunday, the 6 spot on Saturday. But yeah, it just kind of came down to the wire, and there was some good fight shown for sure.
Oh, and they showed that grit that they've been showing all season. It just didn't end up in a win this time. The bullpen was atrocious. They were really bad this weekend, really bad. And so in terms of what you needed from them, they were really bad. They didn't deliver a single time. Gavin Blachowicz was fine, and we'll get into that. But overall, you talk about the KU loss. I think people are really overlooking that KU is now the 18th ranked team in the country according to D1 Baseball. So it's not like a horrible loss. They're 10 spots ish higher in RPI than Nebraska. So it's not like it's like Nebraska basketball losing to Michigan. Like, that's the equivalent. I mean, obviously Kansas is not the number 1 team, but in terms of how much it hurt Nebraska, that's what you're looking at. So I don't think there's a reason to freak out there.
I think the obvious takeaway, we're going to stay on Oregon here for a little while. It was really good to see Casey Anderson get his bat really rolling. 3 dingers, 2 on Saturday in the win. I was really encouraged with that, especially still having Carey being solid. You would have liked to see him just put a little bit more together hit-wise.
He had 2 home runs.
No, I'm talking as a whole. As
okay,
a team.
I was going to say, Carey had 2 home runs.
No.
Anderson.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Them two they delivered this weekend. Your heart of your order delivered, and that's you haven't in some of these series Nebraska's won. That really came from the bottom of the order. So at least you have that going there. You talk about the bullpen. There was I thought there were some highs from the bullpen though. I know Tucker kind of struggled on Friday, but like Jalen Worthley coming in, I know he allowed the solo homer. to a guy that, already had a homer in the game. And I think you should have probably intentionally walked him. And nobody's going to disagree with me.
Gosh. Just because you do it on MLB The Show doesn't mean that it worked.
Well,
Bobby, do we want to tell everyone what you posted in the RSS live thread?
Yeah. So shout out to Husker Hank on a Red Sea Scrolls subscriber. He said, I don't know why you'd pitch to him. And I said, that's kind of a good point. And everybody said, well, you don't bring the tie and run up to the plate. And I get what you mean by that. I get it. They're like, this guy's in the 8 hole that you're pitching to. And I was like, well, he's 2 for 3. I'm thinking lefty on deck. You have Jalen Worthley on the mound, who's a lefty. I like that matchup better than pitching to a guy that's already 2 for 3 is my thing with already a dinger in the game.
Yeah. And how did they react to that?
Not really anybody agreed with me.
Yeah. I never bring the tying run up to the plate ever.
If you're going to play matchup scenarios, I just like that matchup better.
Yeah, but Oregon leads the Big Ten in home runs, leads them in doubles, leads them in RBIs, leads them in slugging. Anyone in that lineup. It's like Nebraska. Anyone in that lineup could deliver a big hit, right? So same concept.
I see both
short
sides.
park, winds blowing out to right. You don't want to lefty up.
I just don't think my idea is just completely crazy is all.
Am I the only one that is willing to defend Ty Horn?
Yeah.
I'll defend Ty Horn a bit.
Let me hear the argument.
Okay, so here's my thought process, right? Has he been throwing well as of late? No, he has not. 4.68 ERA, which take that for what you mean. 252 batting average against, which is the highest of all the starters. And I'm saying that as Blockowitz, Katsky, Yasa, and Horn. I'm considering they've all had plenty of starts this season. Every single game he has come out of this season, and this has been a trend his whole entire career. So one of our subscribers, I don't remember which one of the RSS people gave a great point. They were like breaking down his season by season statistics, and it was like games started versus games that he got a decision in, and it was like almost none. Like he doesn't really have a lot of wins.
Yeah.
It was a great point. I don't remember who it was, but he's only 1-1. He's got 9 starts, and you'd love to see the longevity out of your Friday guy. And Bolt has mentioned that many times. We got to get through the 6 with the Friday guy. But every single game he comes out of, whether it's in the winning side or the losing side, Nebraska's in the game. And that's what you need from your starters, right? If you're going to only go 4, well, then make sure we're in the game. And that's what he does. They were in the game against Oregon this last weekend. They were in the games against Indiana, Penn State when he was leaving the game. And that's what you want. And that's why I'm willing to defend him. Maybe not as a Friday guy. That's maybe more of what you want of a Saturday guy, like a Yasa. But Horn's doing the job in terms of productivity leaving the game.
Yeah, you mentioned, sorry to interrupt you really quick. I just, with the 30 starts, yeah, he's only had 12 decisions. Mm-hmm. He's 6-6 in 30 starts.
And to get a decision, we should clarify, to get a decision, you must complete 5 full innings, and your team must be in the lead after the offensive half in the bottom of the 9th. Let's say if you were the home starter.
Are you talking to me or the people that don't know this? Because I understand.
The people that don't know. Just for clarification purposes. I love the Husker Online show because Sipple just clarifies everything. And because, there's going to be people listening for the first time who maybe want to learn a little bit about Husker baseball.
Let's let Mr. Cox go ahead.
Well, to make that argument, first of all, by the Penn State game, I don't think he gave up 7 runs and 3+. Like that's all on the offense for being able to come back in that game. I don't necessarily agree with you.
I'm not saying it's good enough, but I'm saying in terms of like you need to take him out of the rotation. You're in the game.
You weren't in, like they were down 7-3. The offense like struggled to fight back. When you look at what you expect out of Ty Horn, and you did say it, he's your Friday starter. Mm-hmm. He sets the tone for the weekend. And you would hope that you can get through that Friday game without burning the bullpen. Had to use four pen arms on Friday. Guys that haven't really been used consistently. But that's the position that Will Bolt's in because nobody's stepping up in the bullpen right now. Like Tucker Timmerman was your number 2 guy, gave up a 2 spot against Oregon. Like you need to have Ty Horn. You need to have Michigan State Ty Horn more consistently, and he hasn't gone deep.
Ty Horn that can land his slider for a strike?
The Ty Horn that's not pitching for a strike. I mean, Will Bolt's talked about it extensively. He actually said in that post-game presser, Ty Horn threw 7 innings, 100 pitches. He's like, yeah, he wasted about 30 pitches trying to get Ks. So it's just a common theme for him this year. The walks got away from him. on Friday. I mean, it just has to be more consistent. You can't be having these performances down the stretch.
Well, and what was said, and you talk about him wasting pitches to get strikeouts. In the preseason, it was all about leadership. It was all about pitching to contact. It was all about kind of taking that captain role, not that he actually did, but like kind of wanting to assume that Friday night, stone cold, always consistent arm. And I will fully agree with you on that. If you're chasing strikeouts, I don't think you necessarily have the pitching level of maturity to be a Friday guy, like a Cooper Katsky.
One thing I want to point out. So I'm predicting that Ty Horn's going to get really rolling because look at last year. Let's look at the month of April last year for Ty Horn in March. The best outing he had in March of 2025, he went 5 innings at USC. But then he didn't go 5+ until not November. He faced Northwestern on April 19th. He went 5. 6 innings at Maryland, 6 against Minnesota, 6 against Michigan, 5 at Purdue. So
how did he do in the Big Ten tournament?
Well, he came in and pitched late against Michigan State, an appearance, and then he came in.
He started in the Big Ten tournament in the semifinal.
I believe so. Yeah, the 8 innings.
Yeah, 8 innings.
Yeah, no, that was the final.
No, he pitched the semifinal.
No, he didn't. No, that
final.
No, it was Oregon. Then it was Penn State. And then, because Rocket threw against Oregon and then against Penn State, I think, was it Will Walsh? I don't think it was Will Walsh, but it was, gosh, I can't even think of the guy. Maybe find that. But then he goes and throws 8 innings against UCLA in the championship. He allows only 3 hits, and of course, 0 earned runs or 0 runs in general. So that's where I think I've always just noticed with Ty Horn, he pitches when the weather is warm, hot. He gets up for it. Sure, there was the weather in Oregon. I'm not trying to give him a total blatant excuse for his lackluster starts, but I think that this is the time of year where you're going to see this guy really start turning it on. Now, there is a chance of storms Friday night against USC. That does concern me. Maybe I'm just a little bit going off a little bit of speculation and stuff, and maybe it's just a coincidence. But I feel personally that Ty Horn, when it's hot outside, sun's out, you can feel the humidity, that dude just freaking is nails.
Until he faced a good team like Oklahoma in the NCAA tournament and got absolutely walloped in 90-degree weather.
Right, yeah. You look back at that list of teams like Minnesota, that's not always going to give you your best litmus test, but I just don't think the struggles that have presented themselves,
Ty didn't pitch against Oklahoma.
Did he pitch against?
He pitched against Holy Cross, and he went. What was it? The game that he went 7 1/3. Because the opener was Brockett, and then on
because they wanted to go against the lefty heavy Oklahoma lineup.
Yeah, and then on Sunday they went with Will Walsh. I'm pretty sure.
Hey, Bobby Schneider was the one covering Husker baseball last year, not us. So he would know.
Anyways, yeah. Anyways, I don't think the struggles that have presented themselves are they're too significant to just throw away to bad weather. And regardless of if it's true, it's cold. It can get cold into May. You can't just, it was cold on Friday, so he pitched bad. Maybe next week. It's just not something that you can rely on.
Well, and you don't leave fastballs up just because it's cold.
Yeah.
Well, and then you talk about Yasa. You would have liked to see a lot more from Yasa at Oregon.
Yeah.
Just he can't. I mean, when he's on, he's the best pitcher on this roster. I'd say by quite a bit, just because he can deliver.
He's definitely got the highest ceiling.
Yeah, he's got the highest ceiling. But gosh, when he can't find, that's what I think Nick Hanley was talking about on the radio. He couldn't find his cutter in the game, and that just led to several free passes, whether it was plunking a duck or walking a duck. He couldn't do it. So you still feel great about Cooper Katsky, another just great start against a quality lineup. But that leads me, I was just wishing that, I don't think Blockowitz starts against Creighton. I really don't want to get into too much of it, but what did he throw? He threw 50.
It'll be Bender.
Price, yeah. Which we're not going to dive too much into Creighton, but as you overall assess this, that leads us into our next segment, guys. What does Nebraska have to do now to host a regional?
They have to pitch. It's just been the same thing every week, right? The offense is going to do what it's been doing, one of the best offenses in the Big Ten. But until the bullpen gets figured out, and until, we talked about Horn plenty, but that's always going to be a question mark. Until the bullpen gets figured out, it's going to be an uphill battle. Have to have some people emerge from the back end, from the middle of that pen to really slot.
Middle is the biggest problem.
Innings. Yeah, but Unger can't throw three times on a weekend, right? So you need somebody else too.
I will say, I know we've talked about it quite a bit. A lot of people have been interested about Jalen Worthley. The stuff he's done this year, like it or not, he's been he's been delivering solid appearances. He's escaped a couple jams. He did against Kansas. Well, why are you shaking your head? He goes out there and does his job.
I mean, it's all low leverage situations, right? Like he's thrown 5 innings this year.
How is it low leverage against Kansas when you're up?
He came in against Kansas. But my point is, like, I don't know that the sample size is really there for me to be like, oh, Jalen Worthy's your guy. Right?
I'm not saying he's your guy, but you're talking about middle relievers is my thing. Who else are you going to turn to? Who else are you going to turn to? I mean, Clevenger, Harrihill, they had their woes. I mean, everybody on the staff has. Timmerman's had his woes. I mean, who else are you going to do? Olson's had his woes. I can't think of a guy. I mean, Braxton Stewart's had his woes. Man, it'd be nice to have Pinkinen right now.
Yeah, it really would be nice to have Pinkinen. Okay, here's my thing. And I am normally automatically one to want to disagree with Bobby, but I am actually in full agreement with him here. I think Jalen Worthy has all the experience in the world in this Husker staff. A Husker staff where your experience has let you down, right? Like Clevenger's actually been really good. Timmerman's been fine. Harrihill's been really good. He just walks too many guys, but he works out of it. Caleb Clark's been a disaster. You need the maturity of a Jalen Worthy. Yeah. Again, we're not always going to look at ERA, but I don't have the whip numbers right in front of me, but 1.69 ERA through 5 1/3 inning and a 158 batting average against.
What did he give up? A 3 or 4 run home run against Auburn that one was counted as an earned run?
He came in with the bases loaded.
That's fine, but I'm just like
first appearance of the season comes in against Auburn on the road on a Sunday where you're already getting blown out with the bases loaded, no one out.
I don't think you guys understand. I'm not in total disagreement with you. I'm just saying the fact that we have to look at Jalen Worthy and be like, that's our guy who's thrown 5 innings this year.
What's wrong with that? Jalen Worthy was great his sophomore year and his junior year.
Last year was not his best. I mean, not comparable to his sophomore season.
No, his sophomore season was obviously the best. But why won't you go to him?
I agree. You have to try.
Who do you want coming into the game against USC this weekend? Him or Chase Olson?
Here's an idea, guys. And I'm curious what you think. You aren't starting him now on Tuesday. I think you just fully transition Blockowitz to a middle to long reliever. I think that at this point in time, you have to. I think that you can get away with starting a Timmerman or a Bender for just spot starts. I mean, what else are you going to do in these weekend scenarios when you have a guy? Because the thing is I haven't seen, maybe Michigan State, but we haven't seen really a weekend where Yasa and Horn go out there and just deliver where you don't have to turn to a guy in the 4th or 5th inning.
Here's the problem. They cannot lose a midweek game. Will Bolt said, the goals, make Omaha, host a regional in Lincoln. If that is their goals, you need to throw someone. Creighton, 85 RPI, right? Kansas, who they do play against, top 20 RPI. But like, you can't just go, all right, Johnny Holstaff on Tuesday, you're going to lose. You're going to lose.
Okay, then limit him to 40 to 50 pitches. Let him
Blockowitz?
Yes, because
Blockowitz won't start this Tuesday.
No, he won't start this Tuesday. And that's what I'm thinking. I don't think you can just realistically do both.
You're
right
suggesting more of a Katsky role that we saw a little bit earlier this season where he would pitch a midweek and then kind of come in high leverage spots on the weekend?
Essentially, but I think that you're getting to that point almost where I feel that you could get by with a Timmerman or a Bender on the midweeks just to get 3 innings. I really do.
I agree.
That's where I'm sitting at. But then again, having Blockowitz on a midweek or when you had Katsky is incredible because you're going to get probably 4 to 5 scoreless. Or I mean, they'll maybe play 2 runs is all.
You know who I could definitely see starting on Tuesday? I think Kevin Monell could start. Well, he has the longevity to give you 3 or 4, and like
Jared sent that we haven't got
it. We usually get it Monday afternoon. We haven't gotten it yet, but
it's 3:30 right now. So let's not speculate on it too much. But that's maybe a guy you could go to midweeks.
Definitely, I just think. Transitioning a little bit, you have to win this series this weekend. It's a must. So if you want to host a regional, literally almost mathematically, you have to win this series.
Yeah.
Just take 2, right?
Yeah, you have to take 2. Yes.
Just take 2.
Two wins. I was really kind of doing my research. D1 Baseball does a great job having their little like tunnel talk version, like live thread they have going on. And they could see Nebraska jumping as high back into the top 20 in RPI if they beat USC. Right now, Nebraska sits 28 in RPI because everyone's asking, is Nebraska going to host a regional? Is Nebraska and baseball and softball going to host? They're sitting 28 in RPI. If they beat USC, twice, who right now is 8 in RPI, they will easily jump back into the top 20, and they're right back into the conversation. Not to mention, what if they beat an Oregon? What if they beat a USC? What if they beat a no, I don't think anyone's beaten UCLA, but what if they beat an Oregon? What if they beat a USC in the Big Ten tournament? Well, that's another RPI booster. What if you beat Kansas? Well, that cancels out the loss from earlier this season. There is definitely a world, it's going to be difficult, but there's definitely a world where they can still host. They need to win the series this weekend. Have to.
I mean, yeah, I agree with that for sure. What games are you getting, right? Are you going to take one against Mason Edwards and Grant Goffel?
No.
Well, then what are we doing? Like,
the offense has to go. The offense has to go. But the thing is, USC's offense, they looked good against Iowa last weekend, but they're not like a prolific offense. So if there's a week where, I mean, the standard now is lowered, but if Yasa, Horn, and Katsky all give you 5+, I think it's going to be this weekend. It's not like their offense is as bad as Michigan State, but it's not going to be nearly as good as Oregon.
I think approach is going to be really important. Edwards has had a little bit of control issues this year, so if you can really rack up that pitch count and get into the bullpen, that's going to be instrumental in their ability to win the series this weekend. But yeah, this is the toughest pitching staff you faced all year. Probably
coming off the second toughest pitching staff you faced all year.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably a top 5 staff in the country. You're going to have to do your work early.
I want to go over a couple of scenarios. Just what ifs. Let's say Nebraska sweeps USC. Let's just say it happened.
Whoa.
Let's just say it happened, but you dropped to Kansas and you dropped another midweek to K-State. Do you still see a path for them hosting?
If they sweep USC, they'll be top 16 RPI. And then if they lose to Kansas and lose, it depends how they do in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, it's all going to depend how that goes down the stretch. If that happens, though, I mean, I'm trying to envision a world where they do sweep USC and then lose the 2 midweeks. What is the feeling around the team, right? Like,
I'm trying to find a scenario where they take 1 from USC.
Okay, let's say Nebraska takes 1 against USC, but you essentially sweep the rest of the way. You win every series. Maybe you go sweep at Illinois. You beat Kansas at Kansas.
Are you saying they win out?
Not necessarily win out, but you probably maybe drop a game. But let's say you win at Ohio State, you beat Iowa at home in that series. So let's say you drop maybe another 2 games the rest of the way. You go and sweep at Minnesota. There's still not a path.
No,
you have to win this.
You have to win this game. You have to win this series.
A little bit of it depends on the rest of college baseball, but yeah, you have to.
You have to. It's a must. I think if they go win the Big Ten tournament and they avenge every single loss they've ever had, sure. But which they definitely could. I don't think anybody, like I said, is going to beat UCLA, but they definitely could. But they would have to finish as the second best team in the Big Ten, and their schedule is not looking favorable. They're playing now, going out the rest of the season. They're playing some of those middle of the table Big Ten teams, a lot of them on the road, and they're going to have to deal with, dropping a game here or there. We can't. The idea that Nebraska is only going to lose 2 games the rest of the season, let's say even post USC. They're only going to lose 2 games the rest of the season is preposterous to me. The Ohio States, the Illinois, the Minnesotas, they've got that one arm. They've got that Friday, that Saturday that can go and get you a win. It's as much as we say bullpen and starting, it's going to be the offense that's going to drive this team. If this team wants to host a regional, they've got to average like 6.5 runs a game. That's what it's going to take in the Big Ten, in the nitty gritty. They have to win this series in my eyes, or else they're going to drop. If they lose both games, they'll probably drop to the mid-30s in RPI, and then you're really scratching and clawing against, other teams who are in the same scenario wanting to win just as much with just as much talent.
I thought it was kind of BS they dropped out of the top 25. In my
1
opinion,
and 3, though.
I get that, but still, I mean, it's not like you were getting crushed.
Yeah, but their DSR is also almost 40, which is the Diamond Sports ranking. It's basically the more modern RPI. Does not dictate as much as RPI does, but it's a really great metric to look at. Their DSR is 38 right now, and RPI is 28. I mean, that averages out to a 30-ish, right? 32. Like, they don't, in my opinion, Nebraska did not belong in the top 25 because the country around them played great this week.
Well, it's also a testament to, some of the things that happened in front of them and behind them, like a good week by Florida. And then you had UCF drop in the rankings because they got swept. So a lot of it just fluctuates on the rest of what's going on.
And how good the SEC is.
Okay, so when we're looking at this weekend, who do you feel the most confident in? What game do you feel the most confident that Nebraska has a shot? You think Sunday, Saturday?
I would say Sunday. Yeah.
Against Johnson, you think?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you're going to get any of the others.
Do you got the numbers pulled up of these guys? These
Oh,
USC
you bet.
starters?
You want to hear it? Mason Edwards, their Friday starter, who possibly is the best pitcher in the country. 1.35 ERA, 0.116 batting average against, 95 strikeouts to 26 walks. He's coming off a 16K outing last weekend against Iowa. Grant Govil, 2.13 ERA, 184 batting average against, 57 to 8 K to walk ratio. Oh my goodness. And then Andrew Johnson is your weak spot. He would be the ace for Nebraska. 3.66 ERA, 237 batting average against, 47 to 18 batting average against, K to walk ratio. So I like him against Katsuki on Sunday. I think that's the game Nebraska probably can win.
I mean, Mason Edwards has a sub-1 whip this year, and he still has more walks than hits given up.
Yeah.
Like that's unheard of. It's such a strong pitching staff.
I see what you guys are saying. Let's not forget this. A lot of these guys last year beat Oregon State in the series at home. Nebraska. Nebraska beat Oregon State in the series.
Well, Oregon State ended up.
They were in the College World Series.
Yeah, but
that's a College World Series team. I'm just saying, it's Nebraska. I feel I'm a little more confident than you guys going into this series because it's at home. I think that there's just going to be something. I mean, and you know how baseball is so technical and analytically driven and everything, but I think that this baseball team is pretty pissed off right now because they know they have to win this series.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to see some good stuff. I really do.
I think it's going to be a close series like the Oregon series. I just don't see a path to really winning more than one.
I mean, if you want to push a narrative, right, you can look at USC's splits on the road and at home, 8-6 away, and then you realize it was a 3-game set against UCLA that they got swept in, and it doesn't really support that number. Also, UC Santa Barbara that they lost the game to.
Mm-hmm. Good team.
Very good team, top pitching team in the country. It's just tough, right? Like, it's going to have to be the offense.
If there's a silver lining here, it's that USC's offense is not very good. It's not that they're bad. They're not very good. They're a 264 team batting average, which goes against a 313 Nebraska team batting average. Now, Nebraska's team batting average is like nationally like one of the best, right? Their best hitter, you could say it's Kevin Takuchi in terms of like consistency, but really the experience and the best comes from Augie Lopez, 278, 630, 363 on the slash line, 10 home runs, 68 total bases, which kind of jumped out to me right away. They have a lot of depth, but they don't have power. Power-wise, they're very similar to Nebraska. They got one guy who's got a bunch, right? We could say Dylan Carey has a bunch, and then they just have a bunch of like 7, 5, 4, 3, a lot like Nebraska. They run 32 for 46 on stolen bases. They have one guy.
Ooh, that concerns me.
Yeah, because Jalen Worthy has not been able to throw anyone out this season. Kyler, I mean, is the offense being not as good as Oregon the only path you see to victory here?
Well, it's kind of weird when you look into the numbers, right?
Yeah.
5th in the Big Ten in doubles, 7th in runs scored, but then you're like, okay, maybe they strike out a lot. They have the second least strikeouts in the Big Ten this year, so they put the ball in play.
It almost seems like a clutch factor almost.
Yeah, timely hitting for sure, something that we've seen the ups and downs with on Nebraska this season. I do think that that's an area, though, where you can attack and find a little bit of refuge from when the expectation is runs are going to be hard to come by this weekend.
I think when you bring that up, I think that it just lies on 4 dudes in the – well, I mean, it relies on the entire order. Don't get me wrong. But you need a giant series, and you're expecting McMoyer to deliver. You need him. You need Jeter. You need Jeter to get on base. And you need Case and Dylan to just keep smacking the ball around. I think if those guys just have a tear to this series, I think Nebraska has a good shot at taking this.
Yeah, and Jet Buck needs to.
He does kind of.
Okay, this is a side tangent, but I don't have the numbers. I haven't calculated anything. I'm going to write about it this week, hopefully. But Jet Buck against like legitimate pitching has been awful. Like awful. He did not hit well against Oregon. He did not hit well against Auburn. He did not hit well against the Texas series. He went like 2 for 13. He was really struggling. After that Texas series, we came here, we sat in these seats, and we said, what's wrong with Jet Buck? Right? And then they start Big Ten play. They have the easier end of non-conference play. He goes on an absolute tear, faces Oregon, one of the best pitching staffs in the country, falters. Same story here. He is my X factor for Nebraska. It's not. Mac Moyer's going to do his. Dylan Carey's going to get his, right? Sanderson's going to, work into 1,000,003-2 counts and drive up the pitch count of Max Edwards. But Jet Buck in that 5 hole is the X factor for this team this weekend.
One thing I want to ask, we haven't, which I mean, it makes sense why we haven't seen him. He's really struggled at the plate this year. Do you think we could maybe see a Devin Nunez pinch hit?
Pinch hit. I mean, anybody's on.
I think the fact, I know Will Jeski's a righty, Devin Nunez is a lefty, but the fact that an injured Jeski is getting more at bats than Devin Nunez tells you a lot.
That's a disappointment because you were expecting big things from Devin Nunez.
You were expecting potentially an All-American, like a Big Ten all-conference selection from this kid, and it hasn't worked out.
All right, guys, some bold predictions I'm going to lay out. I'm going to say that Ty Horn and Cooper Katsky each go 6+ this weekend.
Wow, you're asking for a lot from Ty Horn.
I think that he's going to deliver.
Against a USC team that has worked 165 walks this year. Nebraska is a team that has walked a lot. They have 135.
It's bold.
And that's a bold prediction. If he gets through 6, Nebraska is in that game with winning.
I'm glad you didn't execute me for saying that.
No, I think it's a reasonable take, but we've been saying Ty Horn's going to deliver all season long, and he's been consistently mediocre, just like the bullpen. Not bad, consistently mediocre.
Yeah, I think game 2 becomes a little bit of a slugfest. Yasa and Goebel, I think Nebraska might get to him a little bit, and we see a little more runs than we thought we would.
So, ironically, my bold prediction was going to be Yasa 8+ punchies, sub 3 walks. 8+ punchies, sub 3 walks from Yasa. Talking to him in class today, seemed confident. He liked the scout for USC. So, without saying what he said, I like Yasa this weekend.
Well, if that happens, I think Nebraska takes game 2. I'm not going to say Nebraska wins the series, but I think that they're going to make it more interesting than the national media and the local media think right now. I think that Nebraska does something special this weekend.
And what is special to you?
Okay, fine. I think Nebraska finds a way to win this series.
I don't see it. If it happens, it happens. It's going to be nice Saturday. Expect that crowd to be pretty crazy. That Sunday game, Bobby, I might come even though you're covering. That game is going to be a high-scoring, fun game to watch. I would really,
Saturday it's going to be cold and windy.
Is Sunday the nice one?
Okay, so Friday you have 40% chance of rain, high of 81. You hope that rain gets in and gets out early in the day. Saturday is supposed to be windy and 55. So common link in Nebraska weather. And then Sunday you have sunny and 65.
Yes, Sunday is the nice.
So let's look at the wind conditions. It's going to have the feels like it looks like it's going to kind of die off in the afternoon, but you're going to have the condition of the feels like. Yeah, it's only going to feel around mid 40s during the game, low 40s. I mean, first pitch is 2? So says feels like 42 on Friday. Let's look at the rain and right now.
It's sprinkled all day long.
So there is a chance there is 20% chance at 6 o'clock for some showers, and then another 20 at 8 o'clock. So
weatherman Bobby Schneider coming at you.
Yeah, Apple weather app, really great.
Okay. Sunday, I would love to see the absolute Cooper Katsky show. I want to see from Cooper Katsky what Ty Horn gave Nebraska last year when they needed it. That's what I want to see from Cooper Katsky. I know there's Bulldog there, and he's been good. Don't get me wrong. But that Bulldog there, I can tell, that kid's got a CG in him. I'm kid. He's freaking 2 years older than me. That adult man has a CG in him, and I don't know if it'll be this weekend, but it's going to come when Nebraska needs it most.
Well, and let's say Nebraska goes 1-2, but maybe you go 3-peat at the Big Ten tournament, take care of most of your business.
If Nebraska wins the Big Ten tournament, they'll host a regional. The Big Ten's too good this year for that not to happen.
That's why I'm saying I don't like that they dropped out, because I feel like, clearly there's only 4 teams in the Big Ten that are really above average.
Purdue is good. Their offense is very good. Avery Moore, shout out the Millard West Wildcats, played with them in the fall. He's been their best hitter all season long. He hit 500 last weekend, 12 RBIs. That kid is special, and they're good. But yes, they start tier 2 in the Big Ten. Honestly, I think Nebraska starts tier 2 in the Big Ten. That's my honest opinion. I think the West Coast teams, not only do they have the officials. No, I'm kidding.
You should break that down.
Yeah, I should. Okay. Can I go on my tangent?
Go on. Yeah.
All right.
We're about to wrap up.
So yesterday, Nebraska in the top of the 7th, I believe, keep in mind, this series was very testy all throughout the series. The head coaches got into it at the beginning of the game Sunday. Both teams, according to Huskers Radio Network, were warned ahead of the game that nothing was allowed to happen. Obviously, this series has huge implications, right? And so, 7th inning, fielder's choice to shortstop. Rhett Stokes slides in. It was a gaming slide, right? The spikes were up a little bit, but I wouldn't necessarily call it, out of the ordinary by any means. Shortstop took offense to it, and we've seen multiple times this season, Rhett Stokes is a little bit of a hothead sometimes, and they kind of bumped at it. I was watching it back because I want to make sure I got this right. 9 Oregon players crossed into fair territory, including the Oregon DH, who was absolutely torching Nebraska in the series. Work their way probably 10 feet into fair territory, which at PK Park in Oregon, there is a large gap between the dugout and fair territory. Like, they really had to move. The Husker coaches entered the field. A few Husker players worked their way out of the dugout, but not in the sort of way that the Oregon players did. By rule, any player off the bench and in the game, any player on the bench really, though, that makes an I should have had the rule pull up, but it's like makes an advance in the direction of the altercation gets an immediate ejection and 1 game suspension.
Yeah, that tweet you has nearly 140,000.
Yeah, the tweet I posted really blew up about it. And just as a base, so then how it played out is there was like 15-minute pause in the game. The umpires are chatting. They go to review, and in my head, I'm like, okay, these players are getting ejected. They're trying to make sure who's getting ejected. They come back and they actually issue a warning to both dugouts.
And you also referenced, I'm looking at your comments. So you said the same thing happened to Mississippi State earlier this season. 7 players were ejected due to that.
There was absolute precedent in this moment. The umpires would have known about the precedent. And just as a objective baseball fan, former baseball player, I was sickened because this also happened in a game before ours when I was in JUCO in our tournament. The same thing happened. Immediate ejections, 1 game suspension. It should have happened in this game against Oregon. Would have removed the DH of the lineup and 2 of their relievers who did not end up pitching, but 2 of their available relievers should have absolutely been ejected and suspended from the game. That did not happen. Incredibly disappointed in the officiating from the Big Ten officials in that game.
I have nothing to add. Fantastic breakdown by Sam Ojeda. Great wrap up.
It caused quite the ruckus on X, let me tell you.
Well, guys, we all appreciate you listening to the Big Red Wired Nebraska Baseball Show. Be sure once again to follow us on Twitter and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. For Bobby Schneider, Tyler Cox, and Sam Ojeda, signing off.